So this is trail day 58. I'm getting back on at the parking area where I got off the day before yesterday. It's Wednesday, August 12th of 2020. I ended up taking a 0 at the Itsy Bitsy Hostel. The dude runs that's a real nice guy. I got a shuttle in to the outfitter, got some new clothes, something with a drawstring waistband, so hopefully the chafing I was having in and around will go away. I think it's just where I had lost some weight, and it was the weight of the pack was pushing the skin on my sides into the waistband with the belt, and yeah, it was just very uncomfortable. So got a new pair of shorts and a new shirt. I'm carrying my old shorts and my old shirt for at least 4 days till I get to the next town. Then I'm gonna mail home a few things and hopefully get some new water bottle or water containers. But today's goal is about a 10-mile day. A little camp spot right here by the creek. And we'll see how it goes, and hopefully the new duds will make for better hiking. So I'm a little over a mile in, getting close to the first shelter, which I'll stop at and get some water, because there is no water listed in the guidebook until the next shelter. So far the new duds are working great. The Patagonia shirt is much cooler than the Nike Dry Fit was, even though it's one of those long sleeve summer SPF shirts, which I will need for my pale, easy to burn skin once I'm above tree line. It's considerably cooler than what I was wearing before. But that's the way it goes. You just have to adapt along the way. Things change. Things will always change. You could hike this trail, I believe, in its entirety and come to do it again with the exact same gear, and you'd end up having to change something. But yeah, not having the mesh in the back it's definitely not irritating or anything. So far so good. I've been going uphill the whole time, but it's like Vermont's been typical with, other than Stratton, it's not bad grades. So even the climbs are nice. That may change the closer we get to New Hampshire, I don't know. And I'm also completely solo again, like I was at the start. The guy that I sometimes met up with at camp is getting off in Vermont. He's meeting his wife at a certain place on Sunday, so he was going to yellow blaze about 50 miles up the trail, hike 1 or 2 more days, and then meet up with her. we are completely back to doing our own thing. Not a bad view. So that little view was a vista just north of the Brantley shelter. There was some hikers that were walking up. I stopped at the Brantley shelter earlier, but it was quite busy. There were people there when I got there, and then some more people showed up, and then like another group showed up. It's been a busy day on the trail, but we're almost to the peak, so we should get another view in a minute. And then there's like 6 miles to the next shelter. It's a little after 3. Kind of been lollygagging around today, chit-chatting with people, so you know how that goes. But we shall still get to camp early. But the terrain, even though it's been uphill, has been fairly nice, so no worries there. I think it's going to flatten out, go downhill. We'll lose all the elevation we just gained, and then have to go back up again. That's typically the way that goes. So we made it to the summit of Bromley Mountain. Looks like they have a privy. Nice view. A little overgrown coming down off Bromley Mountain. And some nice views up there on top of the ski slope. So we had to go downhill for a little bit and then do our uphill, and we'll be at the shelter. There's a ski warming hut up there that AWOL says you can camp in. I didn't go in it. There was some other hikers hanging out over there. So we've been going downhill for a little bit. Should be getting close to the Forest Service Road, and there's 4 miles left to the shelter. There's been a bunch of hikers out today. Pretty much ever since I hit Vermont with the long trail, it's been pretty busy. AT hikers and long trail hikers, and then your mix of day hikers. terrain's been fairly nice, about like it's been through the entire state of Vermont. Mud pits everywhere, but they're not too bad. It came a good thunderstorm last night. I was worried it might be super muddy today, but it hadn't been any more muddy than usual. Oh, we get to the road, then we have an uphill to do. And then a nice long downhill stretch. I had thought about skipping this next shelter because it's all downhill for a long ways. And then there's like 3 or 4 shelters just all within like a mile apart. But I think I'll stop here and then just cruise the downhill tomorrow. Maybe get some good mileage in tomorrow and see what there is to see. Figured my mileage last night. It's like 81 miles of Massachusetts that I skipped due to the ban on camping. So I've hiked like those 540 something miles, and there's 530 something left to Katahdin. So I've hiked more miles than what I have left to get to the northern terminus. So hopefully I can get there faster than I did the first 500. I believe so. And then it'll be back to Harper's Ferry and on the way to Georgia. I suspect after doing New Hampshire and Maine, which I'll be over halfway done with the AT at that point, the southern portion, not to downplay it because there are some tough sections in the southern portion, but it shouldn't take as long to go through the southern section. I'm kind of looking forward to Virginia in the fall. I bought a new pair of darn toughs because I sent a pair home that was getting holes in it, and they're like they had cushion on the bottom but not so much on the top, but they're slick feeling and they are sliding around all inside my sandals. They're cool on the feet, but they just won't stay in place, so I'm gonna have to put these as sleep socks or something and start back wearing the other pair I got until they get holes in them. which to wear out one pair of socks that I had for several years. And I only had the 2 pair of darn toughs for several years. Granted, I didn't wear socks and shoes very often, but they were several years old. And then they made it almost 500 miles. Not bad for a pair of socks. Yeah, I may even have to change these down at the road crossing, because my foot is sliding around way too much. So come out to the road crossing. I think it's U.S. Forest Service Road 21 or something. There's a water cache and Gatorades and Cokes. And they were still cool, so whoever left them hadn't left them too long ago. So I got to drink a Coke before climbing the hill. So we got 4 miles left, and it is a little after 5, so we should get there before dark with no problem. Just depends on how steep this uphill is. It doesn't look that bad on the profile, so we're climbing up to Peru Peak. It's been kind of a gradual uphill. Nothing super steep or rocky. Until possibly now. I still wouldn't say it's super steep and rocky, but maybe a little rocky. Whew. So the new shirt and the new shorts so far today are working great. The new socks are not. But that's alright, because my old socks worked pretty good, so I'll just go back to them and then get another pair like those next time I'm near an outfitter. Which we should be getting close to the top of Peru Peak. So that's typically what happens is when you start getting to the top, that's when it gets the steepest. Well, maybe there'll be a good view when we get there. So we've kind of gotten to the end of the uphill. It's just kind of flat and rolling. And I can't tell you, all these evergreens and cedars. Vermont just smells so good. I mean, there's just places where it smells like a Christmas store or something. It could be that because I smell so bad and all the other hikers smell so bad, and a fragrance that doesn't cook the hairs out of the inside of your nose is just appealing. But yeah, I'll show you on, maybe, if you can see, the sock. On the right foot, it wants to roll and then slides down in the back and then starts rubbing on the heel. Now on the left foot, it stays pretty much like it's supposed to. Now, all the socks, Darn Tough socks, roll on my right foot, and having all the Chacos that I've worn, so it's not the Chaco and it's not the sock so much. I guess it's just the way I walk my foot. But this is the first. The other Darn Toughs, while they rolled on the foot, they didn't come down on the ankle and let the strap start to rub. So yeah, it's just, these just have a slick, I mean, they fit like really tight to the foot, or they feel when you put them on like they're really tight to the foot, but then when you stick them in the shoes, they just have this slick slide around feel to it that the other Darn Toughs didn't have. So I have a pair of Ingy toe socks that I use or have been saving for the rain, because they won't slide around on my feet. They're held in place with my toes. But I haven't tried hiking in them for long term, so I don't know that they'd last as long. But I've heard other hikers say they didn't last using them in shoes like the Darn Toughs. But I'm just going to put it to the test and come up with my own determination. So it was the view from Peru Peak. It wasn't too bad. And now we're going down the backside. And we're like a little over a mile, like 1.2 or something from the shelter. And it's almost 6:30, so should get there in plenty of time to get everything set up before dark. And that's what we just came down. It always seems like the downhill side is so much deeper than the uphill side was. Maybe that's why so many people say they hate going downhill. I don't mind the downhill usually. Sometimes, depending on the angle of the rocks, it can get a little sketchy as to like a good place to put your foot. But that's why I just take your time and go slow. that nice evergreen aroma. So the last view was Styles Peak. It was not Peru Peak. And we had a downhill, and then it's been fairly flat and flowy, kind of like that. Mud pit here or there. But I think now we are at Styles Peak. Because like I said earlier, it gets steep, and it seems at the very end. It usually looks worse than it really is. Going up, it's not too bad. But we should be almost there. We'll check the view when we get to it. So, I think we're coming down off Peru Peak. It may not have had a view. I'd have to look in the A-wall and see if it had a camera beside it, but not all peaks or the end of uphills have a view. But yeah, definitely think we're at the top and going down now. So if that be the case, then we have a mile to the shelter instead of 3 miles. I hate it when I do that. I think I'm further down the trail than I really am. Whoop. Stump caught the sleeping pad. It feels like it's still there, so have to watch out for sharp edges like that sometimes. I'm definitely taking these socks off tonight, and they're going in the do not hike in. It's been like 3 times today that I've stepped on something not going slow like I am at the moment, but at a decent pace, like those wooden boards they put down over the mud. And I'll go to step up or something, and my shoe will stop, but my foot will keep going. And it's almost thrown me in the mud twice. Probably been quite comical if somebody had been around to see it. I know of several people that watch some of my videos that would get a very good laugh out of it. And that's alright, because if the same thing happened to them, I'd probably laugh too. What's the old saying go? Laugh first, ask if you're okay later. There's a little squirrel chipmunk. I've noticed the chipmunks in Vermont are noticed. Look at him, he's just... You Alvin? Simon? I think there was 3 chipmunks. I don't remember the other one. Anyway, the chipmunks here, they don't seem to be as afraid as like the chipmunks in New York. You get within 20 feet of them and they're gone. The ones here you can get pretty close to. They're just kind of looking at you like, what are you? So we'll get down this hill, and just from the people I've met today, there's going to be too many people to video the shelter this afternoon. I hope to get up early and get a good start tomorrow for a change of pace. So I may not get a video of it tomorrow either. Unless it's a spectacular shelter of some kind. So, yeah, kind of a short day today, like 9 point something miles. But that's alright, my waist chafe is feeling much better. So, it's the little things, hiking in pain or major discomfort is not good. You gotta do something to stop it and correct it and keep it from happening again. Of course, usually when you do something to fix one problem, it pops up another. So, we'll see what else comes up later. But if you've watched and listened to me ramble this long, thank you so much, and unless we see something spectacular, we'll call this the end of the day, and we will resume our trek north to Katahdin tomorrow morning. So there was several people at the Peru Peak Shelter, and no good spots. I didn't have a tent in it already for a hammock, so I'm going to go the 0.5 past the Peru Peak Shelter to Griffin Lake and see what's available there. It's only 7:45, so why not? There was plenty of room there in the shelter, but I don't do in the shelter. So. The lake sounds cool anyway. We should be to the lake here just shortly. Kind of a nice, pretty stream. I think this is Griffin Lake, but just has to find the camping area.